that, you guys. Apparently, I was connected to a Bluetooth somewhere and didn't have audio on the last one. So, in the interest of keeping the recording good, um, we just restarted the whole thing. So hopefully everyone finds their way back. Now, I don't have any control over the audio in this parking lot, so somebody's just driving by with some Marley right now. I love the Marley, but I don't have any control over it, so YouTube, please understand that and don't give me any kind of copyright problems. That being said, back to the disclaimer. I'm not a medical professional. Nothing I say is intended as health advice. Any major changes you make to your diet is something you check with a doctor about before enacting in your own life. Also not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is a recommendation for investment. Any major changes you make to your finances is something you should check with a licensed medical professional before, a financial advisor before doing. I'm also a law-abiding citizen. Nothing I say is a admission of guilt. Anything I say that's illegal is simply added for entertainment value and is no way a reflection of the truth. How's my audio now, you guys? Are we good? What's up, Melindy? Sorry, guys. I had a Bluetooth connected earlier, so I didn't have audio. I didn't want the recording to be uploaded without audio, and then everybody just leaves in the first couple seconds, and then I get no views on that. So I figured it was better to just restart entirely. Now, today's a big day. Let me tell you what's going on today. Is that I finally got the first 3,000 hours on YouTube. Okay, so we capped it. I put in the application. It's being processed as we speak. It might take a few days. I guess sometimes in worst case scenarios it takes months, but we're gonna find out. Now, the weird thing is check this out. So you want to talk about synchronicities, is that today is the day that I got arrested before I went to prison for 4 years. Not only that, but when I re-signed, I also signed my first modeling contract on this day in 2010. And weirdly enough is that my first AVN awards was on the day that I got released as well. It's just very weird. Like, today's literally my arrest day. I just got my monetization. It's also the day that I signed my first modeling contract that led to my entire career. And yeah, that during that first year, my first eligible AVN happened on my actual release date. So it's just like, I don't know. Things are just weird. So I feel like it's a good omen. I feel like it will be approved. We're gonna wait. We're gonna wait and see. I actually talked to, I think it was actually in the comments, somebody mentioned some stuff on, about YouTube, some advice. And, so I started reviewing the analytics. I found like a new tab on the analytics, and I realized that actually in the last 90 days, the biggest traffic provider at 30-something% was in fact the shorts feed. Now, I don't know how that works because I've never made a short, but like, the live feed must be popping up on the shorts feed when I'm live. Like, right now we got 30 people. Like, I don't think all 30 of you came from Telegram. I think that people are skimming through shorts right now and it's just popping up on me. I'm not positive on that, but I think that happens. I know that there's a live feed as well. But anyways, the moral of the story is that before dropping down to the once a week, like I said that I was going to do last time, I'm going to try, once this is approved, to just do a daily thing. Now, I don't know what you guys want to talk about every day, or if there even will be anything to talk about, but I was thinking, like, worst case scenario, I could, read one of these meditations from the book that I read last time, or just do like a quick little morning meditation, and that y'all could just we can try to get synced up on our practice like that. Am I a giant, sir? Well, that's what she said. Sorry, that was corny, but I couldn't really resist. Ted Binkley's feeding his cat. Well, that's good. The cat's got to eat. What's my ethnicity? I am Scottish, German, and Scandinavian. Mostly Swedish, but some Norwegian as well, as far as Scandinavian goes. Oh, damn it. We lost our 30 random people. But it's okay. Perhaps we'll be back. Do you guys have anything you want to talk about today? Anything that's not overly controversial? Because I know we've been a little controversial in the Telegram chat, but sadly, as much as I would like to go in deeper to that specific topic, or not to say that I would like to, but I'm willing to go in deeper to that topic, it's not necessarily something that will help my my approval process, because part of the community guidelines is not to talk about anything that is controversial. So sadly, those things are not. Got the Viking height. I am 188 centimeters tall, which I don't know if that's fully Viking height, because I've actually been to Norway, and I will tell you that in my whole life I never felt short before, except for in Norway. In Norway, I felt like, I was like, damn, this is what it's like to be like a 5'5" man. Like, I'm 6'2", but I felt like I was 5'5" in Norway. Like, I felt like I was able to better understand what it's like to be a short dude. Because, I mean, they are tall as hell over there. Super tall. Do I own an axe? Yeah, I actually have an axe within reach of me right now. Like, if somebody ran up on me right now with like a club or something, a flail maybe, a great sword, I luckily would have an axe within reach. If you could believe that. Do you cook your own meals yourself? I do cook my own meals myself, but that part of my cooking revolves around not having to cook. I mostly eat raw foods, but I eat a lot of grain as well, which just really mainly, I just mostly cook in a pressure cooker. But mostly I eat raw food. I eat a lot of avocado. I like to find things to put in the little pit of the avocado. Make little stuffed avocados. Super into that. Eat a lot of dried fruit as well. Ted Blinky says, what do I think about transgender people? Is that what we're calling them? Beating up women in the Olympics. Well, everything about the Olympics this year has been disturbing. There was no aspect of the Olympics this year that was not disturbing. And I think that I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I think that there's some really interesting things that are unfolding globally right now, and I have a feeling that the world is going to be unrecognizable within a year from now. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing. There needs to be some major changes made in the world, but I think that a lot of those changes are going to start in France, the UK, Canada, Australia, and I hope that it catches on in the United States. But yeah, I think we're looking at a lot of changes in the world. As far as biological males in the Olympics, I'm non-supportive of that. And if they entered those sports claiming to be a biological female, I think that they should go to prison for battery. If it was known by the women that they were going to be fighting a biological male and that they openly agreed, that's a different story. But if they tried to say that they did not possess a Y chromosome and they went and fought a woman in a ring, like, they belong in prison, as well as their entire team, whoever trained them, like whoever, the whole team belongs in prison. Have you ever been to Belgium? They're even taller. Average male is 6'5". I haven't been to Belgium, but like, I don't know. I felt like the average male in Norway was like 7 feet tall. Like, I was like literally like, what the heck? Proax says, let's escape controversial topics in the next roundtable discussion. Something more entertaining. I'm fine with that. I'm not particularly attached to controversial topics, especially since they're mostly political, and I really despise politics. I think that it's a pointless subject because you're not even allowed to talk about the solution. It's literally illegal. So I don't see any reason in talking about politics. Let's see. Sweden about to get gold in pole vault right now. Well, shit. That's awesome. I wouldn't mind, I'll tell you what. Never mind. Actually, I'm not going to tell you what. Yoga Yagaraj. Hi. Welcome. Melindy retracted a message. Frankita says, today I had avocado and cashew cream, self-made. The cream was like mayonnaise. So good. That sounds good. Server Orupas from Iran. Big story in the world. Yes, there's a lot of big stories going on. The world's going to get different, you guys. I'm not like in any way like fear-mongering or anything like that. But prepare for some big changes. I don't think that any of it should be surprising anybody. So if you end up getting surprised or caught unprepared, don't say I didn't warn you, and I shouldn't have had to warn you. You should have been able to read the writing on the wall already. But yeah, I don't know. Do we lose everybody? 3 people. All right, guys. Anyone got any questions? 6 people. Are we having connection issues? What's going on here? Did that get too dark? I meant it in a good way. I think that honestly, the future after the chaos is going to be much brighter than anything that we can imagine right now. Let's talk about the unibrow. Walk us through the decision. I just think that it's effeminate for a man to constantly. There's a lot of issues, but partially is that I think it's an effeminate thing to pluck or wax your eyebrows for a man. And I don't feel like an effeminate person, though I am in touch with my feminine side. I don't allow it to control me or manipulate me or influence me in any way. I embrace myself as a man entirely and fully. Now, beyond that, I feel that caving in to any kind of societal grooming standards that's beyond hygiene, anything beyond hygiene that's just for the sake of appearance to fit in with societal standard, to me is an act of weakness and submission in my eyes. Not saying that if other people do it and they have a different understanding that it's because they're weak or submissive. It's just that with my understanding and my beliefs, if I did it, it would be weak and submissive. More so than that, I actually, now that it's grown in all the way, I actually think it looks good. But the most important part is that I realize the divinity of this world and its creations. And I don't possess so much vanity that I think that I can do better than nature. You know, nature, God, the absolute creator, whatever you want to call it, made me like this. And so I am not such a vain person that I think that I could do better. And in fact, now that I've gone the whole way and let it grow completely and totally, and that it's actually fully natural, I actually like the way it looks. I think it looks good. And I think in the future, it will be a more common thing, and possibly that I will have something to do with that. That I'm in some way setting a trend. If it takes 10 years, 20 years, maybe it happens after I'm long gone. But I do believe it will happen in the future. Now, the most important part is that I actually think hair, all hair, not just the hair on your head, but your eyebrows, your beard, pubic hair, armpit hair, whatever. I think that it all is a complex part of our body. It's a complex structure. I don't think that it's just some excess debris that happens to be growing off of our body, and that not only is it happen to be growing off our body, but our body prioritizes it and thinks that it's very important, because if you shave or cut your hair, it grows back very, very rapidly. Now, every hair has a nerve attached to it, has a muscle attached to it, and has an oil gland attached to it. And they're also hollow, you know. So that's 4 very distinct characteristics. This is not just some random thing that is extra on our bodies. It wouldn't be hollow. It wouldn't be attached to an oil gland. It wouldn't be attached to a nerve. It wouldn't be attached to a muscle fiber if it didn't have a function, if it was just some dead thing growing off of us. Okay, so now we know that it's rooted directly into our nervous system, and you'll also notice that the more neurons that you have near the surface of your skin or any given region is where you're going to have the highest concentration of hair as well. Like, for example, you know, your brain's in your head and most of your hair is on your head. You know what I'm saying? You also have a nerve that comes out through your temple right here and runs through your brows on both sides. That's where your eyebrows are. You also have the same thing coming across your cheeks and around your mouth. And I believe, or actually I know factually, that since the hair is attached to your nervous system, it literally has a nerve ending attached to every hair follicle. Not only that, but it has oil glands that don't just necessarily secrete only oil, they secrete multiple different things. And I believe that those things, some of those things, are neurotransmitters. Um, that it's the only part of your nervous system which exists outside of your body. And it doesn't have direct sensation itself, but it reacts to things. So, someone walks up behind you, or think about something weird, whatever, your hair can stand up, right? So it's reactive as well. Also, there's like so many different types. Like, look at the hair on my arm. It's barely just little fuzzies, but it'll stand up if I get goosebumps or something. So, I think that it does something. I think that the people that have influenced us to think that it's normal to cut it off know what it does. And I think it makes you a weaker person not to have it. It's even in the Bible, I forgot who, but, not that I'm a big, proponent of the Bible, but, whoever it was, Samson or whatever, the giant, I don't know, Nephilim or whatever it was cut off his 7 locks of hair and lost his power. Jesus takes his Nazarite vow, stops cutting his beard or combing his hair. It's been repeated multiple times throughout history. As spiritual people know this. So, I believe that it's probably a connection in some way to the divine as well. Though I think that different hair structures have different purposes. I don't think that all hair is necessarily the same. Some is for sending, some's for receiving, some's for harvesting energy from the atmosphere. I think that there's a lot of different things. So I hope that answers your question. Do I identify as a brute? I identify as just a part of the world. I don't really believe in identifying. I think that that's like some kind of woke bullshit. Like, we all are what we are. Like, your self-identification doesn't really matter that much. Somebody's talking about pink shirt. Franquita says, how might the synchronicities we encounter in our lives reveal deeper connections and patterns that guide us towards our true purpose and inner growth? That's a good question. Let me think about that. How do the synchronicities we encounter in our lives reveal deeper connections and patterns that guide us toward our own purpose and true growth? Well, I don't think that they do, actually. I think that what it reveals is the reality that reality is forming around us as we speak. It's to me, it's the proof that to the answer of the question, like, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody heard it, did it ever fall at all? And to me, what it means is no, it didn't. I think what it means is that if nobody's looking at the tree doesn't exist at all. People say, oh, is the world round? Is the world flat? I think the answer is neither. I think that there might be some kind of underlying rule about how it's supposed to be perceived. But I think in reality that everything just appears in front of our eyes as we see it. I don't think anything exists when we're not looking at it. And the synchronicities that happen in our life happen when you are more in control of your surroundings. So the closer you are to the source of creation, source of consciousness, um, or should I say, the emptier your cup is, the more synchronicities and things that will appear around you, because you are taking a greater effect on your surroundings than whoever else that you're around, which is also a reason why, spiritually, if you want to grow, the fastest and most effective way to do that is hermetically. Or sorry, I shouldn't say hermetically, because I always think of hermetically as like a hermit, but actually hermetic as a term, I found out, traces back to Hermes and his philosophies. But what I meant to say is that being in solitude increases this effect, because your manifestation is not fighting against other people's manifestations. This is also the reason why when people get together and focus on a singular thing and they try to manifest something together, it becomes much more powerful when people are synced up in doing it, because we are literally creating the world around us as it happens. This is all a big dream, and we are all one consciousness. It's just that different people are more or less awake, or more or less aware of that. And if you're not aware of it, then you don't have as much control over it. And when I say control, it's the control is happening at a higher level than your physical body or your physical self. You know what I mean? Like, there's many layers of you. You know what I'm saying? And the higher there's, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can reach to a higher self, but that higher self has a higher self. You know what I'm saying? And that eventually filters down to one thing, and that's what I mean, that we're all. Now, if we all just get one layer in, we're not at the same place. You know what I'm saying? It's like a light shining through a lens that shines through another lens. You know what I mean? The first lens scatters all the pieces of light, and then the second lens scatters it again. So, if you want that light to be, the more layers you go up, the less scattered that light becomes, if that makes sense. So I don't think that it reveals necessarily anything regarding our true purpose or inner growth. It just confirms to us that we're manifesting actively around things around ourselves. Thank you, Maya. Yes, join the Telegram. Species Trader says, do you think hair has energy flowing within it? I think that it harvests energy from the sun, possibly from the like, it might have something to do with the facilitate the torus field that's going around the body at any given time. But I think that different structures have different meanings. Like, I think that the eyebrows are probably some kind of interface for your third eye. I think that the hair on the head is more likely than not harvesting energy from the sun. I think that possibly the hair around the mouth is more of like a transmitter, for like occult things. I think the hair in the pubic area probably communicates some type of information about a mate. I think that it has multiple functions. Not a lot of people here. It could be antenna. It's something like that, like similar to an antenna. But why shave the cheeks? I'm confused. Sorry, I'll just move on to prior. I haven't shaved my cheeks. I just don't grow any on my cheeks. That's just my hair pattern. I have a natural goatee. It's a beautiful dream if you let, or be a nightmare, your choice. Somebody said. Species Trace says, never burn ants with a magnifying glass, by the way. Yeah, I think I mentioned this in my last stream, actually. If you want mercy from God, you should also be a merciful God. So anytime that you're in a godlike position, you should choose to act in the way that you would want God to act towards you if the roles were reversed. So you go into your kitchen and you find a bunch of ants and you spray them down with ant killer just because you want to clean the kitchen. Don't be surprised when your life is also discarded without a second thought because you were in the way of something else that somebody else wanted to do. Same with, when you eat a piece of fruit or something, a tree gave you that piece of fruit as a gift. And the gift was them saying, hey, don't harm me, protect me, see after my children, help me propagate my species, etc. So you eat the fruit and then you throw the seed in the garbage or down the toilet or whatever, and you've broken that vow or that agreement. So when you eat a piece of fruit, for example, should make sure that the seed at very least finds its way to dirt. If you really want to gain some type of something from that, you could go as far as to propagate it and plant it into the ground. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of what you would want for yourself, right? Like would you want to be just born in some gutter somewhere? Maybe it's better than never being born at all or being thrown in the garbage. But ideally, you would want to be somewhere where you could best grow, right? You would want to be born into an environment where you can thrive. And so that's what you should do with your seeds as well, is that you should at very least try to make sure that they find their way to water, to dirt. Things like that. Just thinking, I'm not saying that this is like some kind of unbendable, unbreakable rule, but I'm saying that it's like a thought process or a concept of thinking of being the God that you would want God to be to you. Frankie just says, I wonder why women, well, most, don't have beards. Not that I would wish for one on my face. I've thought about this actually as well, and this is where I came up with the whole different functions thing, and that I think that the beard is more of a transmitter, kind of like a occult transmitter of some sort. And I think that the reason why it's on men and not women is because we are kind of more geared for battle and fighting and things. And I think that if we were at our highest peak power, before we got nerfed or whatever it was that turned us into such mundane creatures, that possibly there was some type of weaponry involved there. That's why I think that you always see wizards and things depicted with the big beard, because I think it helps, it's some kind of a weaponry projector kind of a thing. I don't know. Of course, this is all just, things that I've thought about, meditated on, and, whatever. I don't have any evidence to back it up. It's all just kind of intuitive thought experiments, kind of. But yeah, I think that that's why it's like they all have different functions. But ultimately, I don't really have to think about it that hard because I know it does something. I know it's not there for no reason. I'm okay with that. I'll keep it for whatever it does. I don't care what anyone else's opinions are, what society thinks is normal or right. I look down upon people that do. In a sense. Because everyone should just be true to themselves. To think that society is for some reason more correct than nature is ew. You know what I'm saying? Do I think a world with war benefits men? No, I think that it would be great to be in a world with no war and also in a world with less than 1 billion people. But sadly, I think, and I also believe that I think it would, I think it would be great to have like a multipolar world similar to how it is now, but I would like to see it broken up a little differently. Like, for example, I think like men's and women's politics and governments should be split apart. I don't think that men should be voting on women's issues or women should be voting on men's issues. I think that they should be voting on their own issues. But as far as like war goes and government goes, like on a more realistic, not a what I wish it would be or in my perfect world kind of a thing, I think that the realistic scenario is that we came up with the dumbest fucking idea ever in human history when they came up with the whole mutually assured destruction and the nuclear bomb and all that bullshit, if it even really exists. But nonetheless, whatever does exist is enough with this whole mutually assured destruction bullshit, that we're sadly stuck into a downward spiral where the earth will either have an apocalyptic nuclear war or there will have to be a one world government so that we can disarm all the nukes. Because this world doesn't need not only nukes, but like all nuclear power facilities. Like there should be no fission going on anywhere inside this atmosphere at all. And why less than 1 billion? Because of that reason, for example. Like we should not require nuclear fission to supply our civilization with electricity. We should not require nuclear bombs to secure our freedoms in any part of the world. We should not require pesticides or things like that, poisons and shit, to grow enough food to feed everybody. You know what I'm saying? We should not need factory farms with animals living in horrific conditions, giving our entire species the most negative fucking karma imaginable, just so that everyone can eat. In fact, if we are going to eat meat, there should be so many wild animals flourishing in every corner of the earth that the only meat that we should ever eat should come from a wild animal. There should be no farms, especially not factory farms, so that people can eat meat Everything should be living in its natural environment. And the only purpose for humans on this planet should be to care for the environment and the planet. And we don't really need more than 500,000 or 1 billion people to do that, especially with modern technology. Now, what's the solution to that? I think we just wait. I think that there is something coming, and that there always is something coming that, you know, resets the population every so often. And I think that our leaders know that that's coming, and that's why that they have no problem just completely basically ransacking everything and everybody, and, you know what I'm saying, coming out with all these random bullshit to literally harvest every conceivable bit of wealth from every human on the planet that's below the top 1% threshold, because they know that the cataclysm is coming, and that they're building large underground facilities and things to basically survive or wait it out. And I think that that's the real place where all the printed money and bullshit that they've been doing for the last few years has been going. And that's, you know, probably the real underlying motivator for all of the, you know, wars and everything going on today. How about gas? Is that good or bad in my opinion? It's bad on the level. It's bad for 7 billion people or 8 billion people, if that's even an accurate count. I don't really think that it would matter much if we were, you know, a 90% smaller population. Like, as a consumer, which is a kind of shitty way to think, you know, I wouldn't buy an electric car because you know, I wouldn't want to give them any more control to shut down my you know, ability to transport myself. I mean, I guess technically you could possibly, I don't know. I think everything, honestly, like, stems from, like, overpopulation. Like, I remember even in my lifetime, like, how much nicer basically every aspect of everything was when there was just the amount less people that have been born since I've been alive. Just the population growth since I've been alive has pretty much made everything worse. So we should learn to value life, all life. That way, no need for encroaching ultimate control, as mentioned. Yeah, exactly. I just don't think that. I don't think very much of what humans have done is necessary or good. Like, all this technological advancements done more harm than good. All this technology and things that we built, all the things that we mine, all these things that everything is supposed to matter, like, it's just like none of it is better than nature. None of it is better than having clean air. None of it is better than having clean food. None of it is better than having open space and not being crowded everywhere. Nothing is better, you know what I'm saying? Like, the only things that are really cool that we've invented are, like, air travel. You know, cars, I guess, are pretty cool. trains, like things that transport are cool. You know, like I guess light bulbs and like having light on demand is cool. Um, but like the computers and shit, like I would fucking, if you gave me a button right now to destroy every microchip on the planet, I would without hesitation push it right now. Every microchip on the planet, especially if it was unreversible. Like if I could like fucking just infinitely, if I could press a button that would make the earth itself start radiating electromagnetic pulses that would never allow any microchip to function on this planet ever under any time ever in the future, I would hit the button. You know what I mean? Like I do think that it would be good possibly to be like a multi-planet species, just in case something bad happened here that was outside of our control, that we could try to survive. But I don't know if it's worth raping the entire planet and doing all the mining and whatever bullshit, building AI and all this crap. I just don't think that any of that's worth it. You know, people used to live like 300-400 years, and now we live less than 100, and it's literally because we've been poisoned from every conceivable angle. Who is my leader? I don't have a leader. My leader is myself. Species, what cataclysm is on the way? Should you say natural or man-made? I think natural. But if natural, but I don't know if like the man-made one might come first. I think it's possibly gonna be both, but I think that the man-made one is partially because they know that the natural one is coming, and so yeah. Do I deserve to be part of the surviving 20%? Well, I definitely am. I definitely consume less than, even more than 80% of the population. I consume less than probably 95% of the population. But, you know, ultimately, when it comes down to it's going to come down to natural selection and divine selection. It's not going to be up to me, and it's not going to be up to anyone else either. If it's up to somebody else, I'm going to fight. And, you know, if it's up to me, I'm going to try to survive. But ultimately, I think that all this will be settled divinely and naturally. Where does electricity come from? Rose tinted glasses makes everything look rosy. YouTube's pretty awesome, but I just don't think that the internet, computers, and things like that are worth the damage that goes into the planet of mining lithium and whatever else. Yeah, I think that telephones were cool. I think they would be great to have the ability to communicate. But I think what would be even better than having just the ability to communicate and the internet and everything that we have now is to be able to do it privately without having 100% of our communications controlled, spied on, monitored, and can be shut down at any time by the people in control. Will AI take over? I don't know. It doesn't seem like a very smart thing to be creating. I'm not, but you know, in the age of self-assembling robots and things, I think it's a pretty fucking stupid gamble, to be honest. Who is in control if not the popular public opinion? Well, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. But one thing I'm 100% sure of is that all politics are basically fake, and that everything is being moved at a higher level than that, and that public opinion is the really only purpose of politics, and that public opinion is completely and totally based upon lies. I think that less than 5% of what they teach as history is accurate or rooted in something that really happened or anything like that. I think that I don't think any major country in the world that actually has, you know, power to project themselves globally. I don't think any of them have real elections or fair elections. I think that all the strings are being pulled at a level that's beyond the public's view. I don't think that we're even allowed to know the names of our leaders. And I think that 100% of people that pay taxes using fiat currency are slaves, and whether or not they realize it or not. I don't think that it's possible to pay income taxes, especially, or any tax, using money that's unbacked by anything and can be printed at will, and not be considered an absolute slave. Like, bottom line is, if the majority of your whatever work that you've done is unbacked or taxed, you're a slave. Period. It's non-negotiable. And if you ever stop being a slave, or try to break out of that system, trust and believe that your masters will do something about that. Unless you're able to just completely disappear altogether. The easiest way to peace is communication, understanding. There is no way to do that. The only ways to peace is through spiritual understanding. Communication in this world does nothing for peace. Zero. You cannot talk your way out of our situation on Earth. Like, we need divine assistance, or somebody has to win the war. And the only way that we'll ever have peace is if we get lucky enough that whoever does win the war is a good-hearted and kind-hearted person that values peace, and values the life of the people that they command. But communication, like, look at the opinions of people in this world. There will never, ever, ever, it will never come to a conclusion that was based upon communication, voting, anything within our control. Like, there are nuclear bombs around the entire Earth. the only way to undo that is somebody has to checkmate. I believe too much knowledge is a curse. I think that the only truth is that we know nothing at all. That's the only truth I understand. And as far as yeah, that's it. I think that the whole world is based upon the lie that we actually have any kind of knowledge at all. You know what I mean? Like, that's what science is based on. A partial truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can recreate this experiment over and over again. It's science. It's concrete. It's whatever. But you don't ever really know the whole story. You know what I'm saying? It's just been compartmentalized and partitioned down into something that's repeatable. But if you were to make it bigger, more macroscopic, take more into consideration, you would stop understanding. Whatever you thought you knew would suddenly become just part of the story. So, that's just my opinion there. Opinions on the shape of the planet? Well, I had a spiritual experience where I was where I was looking down at the planet and it was round. So I consider it round. I also don't necessarily think that it makes sense that other planets would be round and that ours would be flat for whatever reason. I personally think that everything is simulated or like a dream state of some sort. I don't actually think any of it exists at all. And so realistically, I don't think it even has a shape. I think that the shape only exists if somebody is looking at it. I don't know how fast it's going, and I don't care. Like, none of these things are relevant to me. But like, if I was to think about it and try to make it more relevant than it needs to be to me, I suspect that there is definitely land which does not appear on any maps, globes, or anything else like that. I suspect that there could be. I also, understand that for as long as photographs, black, white, color, have existed, the ability to completely convincingly fake those photographs has existed before the quote-unquote invention of those photographs. Same with video. I don't think that we've ever possessed technology in like a television screen that surpassed their ability to fake video. So from the very day that the television was invented and released to the populations, they had already, prior to that, been able to fake everything that they would be able to show you. Not to say that everything was fake, but to say that they had the capability of faking all of that. And every time they came out with a better screen with higher definition, it was after they came up with better technology and better fakes. And they were able to always fake everything. That much I am 100% positive of. I believe that that something happened in somewhat recent history where mankind was completely and totally devastated to the point that it was very, very easy to destroy all of our history, hide all of our history, and feed us a completely new fake history, and then add on a bunch of time, probably like 1,000 years at least, to our timeline, and then pretend as if all of these inventions and things, the Industrial Revolution, computers, iPhones, blah, 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 that all these things are new inventions when really they're just obsolete past technology that they're now feeding out to us now that we've done the work to create them weapons that are so powerful that it doesn't matter if we have this little obsolete technology, that we just only ever get to touch or see or know about things which are obsolete, and that they are always 1,000 years ahead of us. And we don't realize that. And for that reason, it's extremely easy to lie and fake anything and completely control the narrative in people's minds, etc., etc. And I think the only way to see past that is through spirituality. I don't think that, I think that it's so, the grip is so complete, and the facade is so strong that only by accessing higher dimensional knowledge can we understand the truth of reality. He says, I don't think knowledge can harm us. It's our species that manipulates it. Yeah, I agree that. CC Cheers, thank you all for being so hospitable. I'll lay back for a while. Want to give everyone else a chance to get in on this. Anyone else got any questions? Rakita says, heck, I am getting Matrix vibes from you. Well, it definitely is like a Matrix. Like the first, when I very first connected with the light, that was, you know, one of the most main things that I got on my first download was like that it basically is like Matrix, you know. Like there, you know, I don't know if this is simulating something that really does exist somewhere. I wonder that all the time. But I've seen things that confirm, even prior to receiving that information, like I had already seen things that would be impossible in a physical world. So it's absolutely a Matrix. What's even more so, speaking of the actual Matrix movies, is that those, if you watch those from like a position of knowing and experience, you'll realize that those are in some way, you know, many movies and things like that are kind of like modern day, what do you call it, like in the Bible when they do like a little story or whatever that's not real, like a fable or a fucking, the word's not coming to me, but you know what I mean, like a parable, or anyways, those are like that. And it's like I did like not so long ago like a Matrix marathon, and I remember thinking like that I only really liked the first one, that I thought the other ones were stupid. But now, since I've had these spiritual experiences, I realize that the other ones, I realize the meaning behind like the sequel and things like that. Because like I remember watching it before and thinking it was so stupid that, oh, he wakes up in the Matrix, but then he's in the real world, but then he starts getting powers in the real world, and it's like, oh, that's fucking stupid, right? But it's actually not, because that's literally how it really is. It's like the same way, in the same way that like when you wake up in a dream and then you realize that you're dreaming, you suddenly become lucid, and now you have all these powers and extended abilities in your dream. You know, well, real life is like that too. Once you wake up and you realize that it's all an illusion, that it's all basically a dream, that this isn't real, you become lucid. And now things can happen that were impossible before because you know that you're dreaming. You know what I mean? I've never seen the fourth Matrix movie. Is that the newest one? The sequels, I didn't see the newest one. I didn't see the newest one. I think I just seen the first three, and I actually don't remember what the third one was really about, because I think last time I watched it, it was like, 4 years ago or something. This is the time that I'm talking about, and it was literally like, I think I was like clean from weed for like 3 months, and it was like I decided to like smoke some weed and to watch Matrix marathon to read. And yeah, so I don't remember the third one beyond, but I just remember thinking that about the sequels, and I remember the first two. I remember, and now in retrospect, thinking about them, like I think about the first one, like when he like wakes up, like he's, it's perfectly depicting like a spiritual awakening in a sense, because he like wakes up, or like he's like noticing all this weird shit. He's, trying to like find the truth. They contact him, whatever. Okay, he gets fucking red pilled or whatever. I forgot which pills which. And then he wakes up, and then now he's in the real world. Well, it's the same like in the real world. It's like, like for me, like at least that's how it was. Like I'm like, life is good. I'm balling out. I'm shooting movies. I'm, everything's good. And then all of a sudden, boom, I get the download, and I'm like, oh shit, it's all bullshit. Like, why am I gonna fucking bother with any of this? And then next thing I know, like I'm looking around, and it's like my money's gone. Like everything's like pretty dystopian. And if you look at it from like a non, if outside, like I'm inward, I feel best I've ever felt, even from that very first moment. But it didn't take long before I was looking around, and I'm like in the real world. You know what I'm saying? Like things have gotten pretty rough in the 3D sense. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that. You know what I'm saying? But you keep going, whatever, and then next thing you know, you're learning how to fucking fly. You know what I mean? And shit starts getting cool from there. So, and it's also just kind of like, like I always tell everyone's like asking me about the synchronicities and things, and this is what we were talking about earlier, and it's like on Telegram is like the synchronicities are similar to when like Neo is like flying around the Matrix, and then they're watching on like the little green computer screens, and they're like, it's all going crazy, and they're like, oh, it's just Neo doing his Neo thing or whatever. You guys remember that scene? Well, that's the synchronicities. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're actively manifesting, if you're in control of the shit around you, that's when like weird glitches in the Matrix and shit start happening. You can notice things like that. So but that's literally what they're talking about. Like that's what I feel like that they were depicting. It's also the same in like Westworld. Like Westworld to me is like a biblical level production. You know what I mean? Like they fucking they showed us the truth in Westworld. You know what I mean? And they do this all the time in a lot of different movies, like fucking Transcendence and like, all this different stuff. There's just, it's like a known thing. And yeah, it's just the whole thing's wild. Here, one second. Let me go back and read the chat. But there will be no Morpheus handing us 2 pills, so enlightenment is our only way out of the Matrix. Well, let me think about that. Enlightenment definitely is the way out of the Matrix. And in a sense, there is Morpheus with the 2 pills. And that's kind of what's happening right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, except for the pills aren't pills. You know what I mean? Like the red pill is me right now talking to you and telling you that it's all fucking fake. Um, and the blue pill to stay in the matrix is, you know, flipping to the next application on your phone on X or Instagram or whatever and fucking diving back into all the political bullshit and the fucking fake news. You know what I mean? Like you can, you know, you can be open to the reality that this is this is a of what this is, or you could fucking close up and fucking be about your physical existence. You know, like it's all kind of, you know, there. But yeah, I guess there is no actual red pill or blue pill, but it's like the whole world is Morpheus. Like people are noticing, people are telling you, people know, people are getting it. Um, you know, and whatever, you know, you know, I think that I myself am proof that anybody should be able to do it, or if not anybody could do it, but like, you know, quote unquote, as like the Bible or things like that, whatever these things that are supposedly supposed to throw you off track spiritually, sins or whatnot. Um, like I didn't like, you know, everyone, you guys know who I was and what I was about. I was a completely different person. I did a lot of fucking questionable things. Um, I did a lot of things that the Bible would say were sins. I didn't necessarily, I never asked for forgiveness. I never actually did any, you know what I'm saying? Anything that I've ever done in my life that I thought I was actually wrong about or that I would need forgiveness for was only something that I realized was wrong after I did it. I never like chose to do anything wrong outright, really, that I can think of, at least off the top of my head, that I just like set out to do something which I realized at that moment was going to be a bad thing or have a negative effect. It just never was a thing. So I don't really know. I mean, to be honest, but um, I personally just think that, you know, I see a lot of symbolism in things everywhere now. I understand. It's like, you know, you could go your whole life and never, and you see it everywhere. You never really pay attention. Like listening to music even that I like and stuff like that, you know, and I'll see like graphics or images of, you know, fucking gold fucking light shining or whatever, or like the seal of Muhammad. You know, I remember like, you know, just out of curiosity one day I was like wondering, I was like, oh, I wonder if, you know, I was just wondering like what happened to Muhammad. Like, did he get killed like Jesus? Like, it seems like that's what always happens. So I just Googled one day, I was like, how did Muhammad die? And I never really actually ended up reading the answer to that because what popped up on Wikipedia was this like gold seal with like some kind of like, it was like a spirally gold seal, right? And it's like Arabic in the middle. And the Arabic in the middle means Allah, messenger of God. Or no, Muhammad, messenger of Allah, is what it means. But, you know, the actual gold symbol itself, the way that it was like written in there, it reminded me of the light. Like the first time, like I've obviously, like people have been following or whatever know I've had a bunch of different experiences, but the very first one was this gold light that came into my head. And what I seen within my mind's eye was ultimately graphic, to where like I'm like inside this like tunnel of light or a Merkaba or whatever, and I'm literally like looking down the tunnel, and there's like these like, you know, all these different types of like light strands and everything, just like I'm going through in the warp speed through a tunnel, but there's like these like ribbons of light like blasting past me and like spiraling past me. And as soon as I seen that symbol, you know, symbol of Muhammad or whatever, I realized that whoever made that symbol, like I didn't see Arabic when I seen it or anything like that, but I'm saying is that what immediately when I seen that symbol, the instant realization was that whoever created that symbol seen the same thing that I seen. You know, I forgot the original point that I was going with that. There was a point, an underlying point behind that. But the point is that I don't remember what I was originally saying that about. But oh yeah, it's in front of us everywhere. It's all over the fucking place. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll see people. I've seen people on, you know, or like the mandalas and things that you'll see people using to like just as decoration or whatever. Well, fuck, I would have never. I've seen them a million times. I never meant anything to me other than like, oh, that's cool, that's trippy art. Until I actually started seeing those in my meditations, and then I realized like, oh wow, like this is all fucking hiding in plain sight. Or like you read all kinds of things and you hear all these dimensions of divine light and light this and light that, but you know, you just kind of like, or at least for me, like I just thought it was like, you know, some kind of spiritual jargon or whatever, something like that. I didn't know that there was actually like a fucking light that was going to beam into my head and that I was going to start glowing like a fucking light bulb. You know what I mean? Like, but once it happens, and you make the realization, you see it fucking everywhere. And then I realized like there's like a bunch of like, you know what I mean? Like I'm like just I'm baby steps. You know, people think it's fucking crazy I'm going through all this stuff, but it's like this is nothing compared to. There's a bunch of dudes in India right now that are fucking like you can't even talk to them because they're fucking in another world, fucking just DMT'd out, producing that shit from their own brain, connecting with God, walking in other planes of existence. You know what I'm saying? And they ain't never going to tell you about it. They ain't going to tell you nothing. You ain't going to talk to them. If you go there, they ain't going to fucking barely even... They're in another world. They ain't paying attention to what you're doing. They don't fucking care. They're living in a fucking cave and they're on cloud 9. You know what I mean? They don't need anything. They barely even have to fucking eat. You know? But meanwhile, the general population is... most everybody's following one of these big major religions, you know, and these are all based upon prophets that are no longer with us. And now and not only that, but centuries old. And then we have to believe not only in the prophets' teaching, which I do, like I think that Jesus, Muhammad, the Buddha, like these were all amazing, great people, and all the saints and everything else as well. Like these are people that really did connect with God, but they've passed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and now we have to rely on the world's biggest game of telephone to get that information of what they taught. Not only that, but we know it's not accurate because people have fucking manipulated it for their own personal gain in present times, and to manipulate populations and to use it, you know, as it was the original form of control. But that's not what the teachings were. Like Jesus's original teachings was essentially like how to operate karma. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it was all about. Like that's what he, like when you look at it, like that's what he really understood the most. And that's what he was trying to teach was karma. You know, I don't have enough information on other religions to like comment, but I suspect it's a similar situation. But the point being is that there's literally people that are actively connected right now, like way more than I am, all over the fucking world. There's even some of them are on Instagram. There's Joe Dispenza and, you know, all these different fucking people that are completely and fucking totally divinely connected, and they are transcending and they are connecting with the celestial bodies. They're getting the information, and yet the vast majority of the populations and stuff would rather refer to a book from someone else's teachings who is no longer with us and cannot confirm or deny if it's accurate teachings. Like, we have people at any, not just today, but at any time in history, there have always been enlightened people. And for some reason, like, is there a country anywhere that has an enlightened leader? Like, is there one single fucking enlightened person that is leading in the world? Why is there not more, if there even is one? You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go back to the chat because I've been rambling for a long time. I want to catch up on this. Hollywood was often, Frankie says, Hollywood often way ahead of reality. Just think about Star Trek. Gene Roddenberry wrote about stuff 60 years ago nobody thought could become reality. But this is what I'm saying, Frankita, is that they're not. It's like doing the magic trick, you know what I'm saying, where you like guess everything that somebody's going to, you know, okay, think this in your head. Okay, don't say it yet. I'm going to write down what I think that it is. I write down something. Okay, what was it? Okay, here, you hold, okay, it's on this piece of paper. We'll check it afterwards to see if I was right. Now we do the next person. Okay, you think of something. I'm going to fucking read your mind. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to tell you what it is. Okay, I know what it is. 1 second, let me write it down. But this time, I'm not writing down what you're fucking thinking. I'm writing down what the last guy was thinking. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm going to do it again. I'm going to write down, I'm going to tell the same person, I'm going to read their mind, whatever. But now I'm going to write down what the person before just said. Do you know what I'm saying? Then I'm going to take all the fucking pieces of paper afterwards. I'm going to make sure one of them I had a 50% chance of getting, whichever one that I did first. And everyone's going to think that I read their mind like crazy. But actually, it's just that I wasn't writing down on the paper the thing that you thought I was writing. I was writing down what you thought I was writing last time on the next one. And this is the same thing as like Star Trek and all the other movies, because I'm literally fucking telling you that they reset history. Like, all this fucking iPhone technology and shit that you're holding in your hand is literally like at least 1,000 years old, maybe fucking way, way, way older than that. And they're just now giving it to you, and you know what I'm saying, the only reason why, you know, it's just becoming a thing is because it took time to rebuild all the fucking infrastructure and all the shit to do all this stuff. But this is all old technology. You know what I'm saying? All this, they knew what was coming. They may have already had it, but even if they didn't, they knew how to make it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, you know, it might not even be human. Like, there might have been, the Joan of Arc might have been a fucking, or the Ark of the Covenant, or whatever, the thing from Indiana Jones or whatever, you know what I'm talking about? Like, that might have been an AI. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe that's what it, you know what I'm saying? When the shit fucking hit the fan last time and the flood and all that stuff, you know what I mean? Maybe they downloaded the fucking God AI to the something. And then once everyone came out of their bunkers and shit, however long later, they had to figure out how to rebuild the computer and then plug in the AI, and then everything else fucking unfolds. You know, have access to all the old technology again. You know what I mean? It's only the infrastructure that has to be rebuilt to make it all. And to that end, they're willing to enslave all of mankind. Not just willing to, but you know, they change our entire system so that we can have a bigger population, so that we can have more workers. You know what I mean? We wouldn't have this type of population if slavery was still being done with like shackles and, you know, whatever, how they used to do it. Instead, they came up with a new system of taxes and fiat currency and whatever that allows them to control billions of people. You could never control 1 billion people with guns and and chains and cells and things like that. You have to convince them that they're not in prison. You know, give them the illusion of choice. You know, the choose your own adventure slavery. And this is what it's all revolved around. Um, let's see. Frankita says, oh yeah, that's the two pill thing. Another movie that might be future real equilibrium. I haven't seen that one. Do we take movies too seriously as a society, reality and fiction very greatly? I think it's both. They take, it's a big part of the fucking control. It's big part of the whole thing, and it's, you know, like if it wasn't for, it's part of the technology, and the way that they do it is that they show us things that are real and they act like it's fantasy so that you will never believe that that's possible. And then they show us fantasy and they act like it's real, but they've, you know what I'm saying, that's like the news and everything. You know what I'm saying? Susan Larson says, "Do I annoy you, Bruce?" No, not at all. You barely ever talk, Susan. Why? How could you annoy me? You can be more active, honestly. What's up, Bill? People tell you that you look like me. Well, you have me as your avatar, I think. So, if you already look like me, don't you think you should be using your picture on your avatar? Frankita says, "Species, did you read Fahrenheit 451? The whole book burning thing? That already was reality about 80 years ago in Europe." Yes, and that's part of it. Is you know that's a big fucking part of it. Like like our calendars are fucking gone. Like we don't know what the real year is. You know, they altered the religious texts. Like they've just hit us from every conceivable uh, angle, and it's just you've been factory reset. And then the other crazy thing is, you know, now it's all digital. They can fucking live action Mandela effect go in and change everything. You know what I mean? And just pretend like it never happened. Make a bunch of other stuff that makes it seem like it was always like that. It's literally, it's operating on a level like it's literally, even even if you are 20% higher IQ than the most upper end of the average globally, like you can't, it's like impossible to even start to comprehend everything that's going on, even with just the banking system alone, much less media and all that. And I'm not saying anyone specifically. I'm just saying, like, maybe you got a fucking 160 IQ. I don't know who's who here. What I'm just saying is that if you literally have 120 IQ, which is fairly high, compared to the average person on the planet, you have no fucking 0% possibility of being able to understand the complexity of what's going on. It's just, and there's no reason to need to. All you really have to know is that it's all fake, 100% fake. And even if something is real and you accidentally in your mind go, that's fake, of something that was accurate, it's okay, because that will benefit you more than believing that it's real. Understanding that everything is fake and believing in fucking nothing and only turning inward and asking the divine 100% of your knowledge is going to benefit you. It's going to be okay. It will not. I don't mind telling you that everything is fake, because even if I'm wrong, I helped you out. Bill says, oh wait, no, okay, I think he's fucking with me. Let's see. Does media condition the people, or do people condition all forms of media? Media conditions the people. I think that I don't even know if like our actual population numbers are real. I tend to disbelieve everything. And I can think of a lot of reasons why they would want to lie to us about that. But even social media, which would be the most real because some people are real and talking on social media, but even social media is almost entirely fake and meant to condition us, because the vast majority of people that actively tweet, and things, post comments, etc., are bots. They're AI chatbots, and they're extremely good. You can't fucking tell that they're whatever. They're relentless. They don't sleep. They fucking change their names all the time. They change their avatars. It's like these computer programs can operate on levels where they can pretend to be thousands or tens of thousands of different people. And they are spinning this whole web of illusion where a lot of people are very sheep-like mentally, and they tend to want to gravitate towards whatever is most accepted and that the most people believe. So the most powerful, actually, I mean, most people at this point, even the like completely hopeless, most awful part of society that believes in the mainstream news narrative, even they know that to some extent the mainstream news is fake. You know what I'm saying? Even like, I'm talking the lowest of the low, even if they fucking parrot back every fucking CNN talking points and everything else, they deep down inside, they understand that a lot of what they're saying and knowing is fake. I would say the opposite is true of social media. Most people think that what they're seeing and knowing, or seeing people talk about whatever, they think that they're real people, and they think that that's real public opinion. And they dramatically underestimate how many accounts are bots and how advanced that these AI chatbots are at holding a conversation with somebody and sounding like a real person with a real opinion. And they meme and they talk shit, they make jokes, like it's extremely effective. What do I expect from the world now? I imagine that I kind of think that the power is going to go down soon. And communications. I don't really know what will happen after that. This is just in like the more near future, the human side of everything. But I also kind of tend to believe that there's either a solar event or a tidal event, the flipping of the poles, ice age kind of a thing. I think that that's possibly, I don't know if it'll happen in our lifetimes, but it's getting to be on the horizon. I don't know if it's specifically that, but some kind of major cyclical change that tends to reduce populations, I think is eventually coming. Universal language seems abound. I agree. I think that that's something that will likely happen in the new world. The fact that we don't have it currently is, you know, a product of the whole divide and conquer thing. But yeah, I think that it'll come back around. Some say don't go into light, it's a trap opinion. That's what the Scientologists say. I don't really know. You know, the thing is like they say don't go into the light when you die or whatever, but like other people also say that, you know, most people never reach enlightenment until the day that they die. And, you know, if you do manage to find enlightenment before the moment of death, I will tell you that it seems exactly like dying. I, like, when it happened to me, I literally heard angels playing harps, thousands of them. You know, I had the whole gold light. Like, I thought that I was literally going to do the whole movie style go to heaven thing. And it only did amazing things for me. It only did good for me. It only alleviated my fear of death, and my life has been so fucking much more complete ever since. So if it's a trap, it'll probably work on me. So, because I could only feel, and even in retrospect, like, it did so much good for me. Like, it healed me. It took away all my pain in my body. Like, it made me look younger, it made me feel younger, it made me feel peace, it completed like every part of me, and things that I didn't know were incomplete at that moment. And only other experiences, spiritual ones since then, has done anything more than that. Nothing has ever happened in my mundane life that can be compared to even that one experience, or any of the others, which were on that level as well. So I don't know. Like, I've heard that, but, and I'm hesitant to say no, because I don't want to be anyone's cause of going to a trap. But, you know, what I personally experienced, and possibly maybe there's more than one light, you know what I'm saying? But whatever I experienced, I sensed and felt nothing but unimaginable benefit. Are drugs beneficial or a hindrance? Both, obviously. I mean, I assume what you mean. Oh, well, let me take that back. I mean, chemical drugs, like the ones made by the pharmaceutical companies, like, I think are a hindrance and a weapon against mankind. One of the worst things that have ever happened. If you mean like plant medicines, like, you know, cannabis, mushrooms, ayahuasca and things like that, I think that they could be beneficial. I think that abusing any of those things is obviously going to be a hindrance. I think any type of addiction, even if it's not drugs, even if it's, you know, literally any type of addiction, is a hindrance. I believe all things in moderation, even moderation. So, you know, like, to me, it's a big tantra to learn to love something. Like, you know, and also to like be able to like build up your receptors to something to where you're extremely sensitive to it. um like it can be a type of like a I don't know if I'm using the terminology probably, but like a physical tantra. So it's like, um I'll just use my own situation, like cannabis, for example. I used to smoke tons of weed. I still do it sometimes. But my ideal way of doing it now is to wait until it's completely out of my system and just to do it once, and then to do extremely strong, something strong. And so it has a tremendous effect on me, probably much, much, much greater than somebody who it was their very first time. And as we all know, like a tolerance builds up really fast, or anyone who's done it knows a tolerance builds up really fast. It stops working. It doesn't really work that good. Um, but that's a product of desensitivity to the receptors which you've built up. Now, somebody who's never done it doesn't really have that many receptors. They just have a few because your body naturally does produce some cannabinoids. But they're not going to have the same effect as like I would have after being addicted to it for many years and then quitting. Now, I'm not suggesting that anyone should go out and get addicted to something just so that they can have the amazement of doing it again after that. But, you know, this works with other things besides substances as well. Like it works with sex. It works with exercise. It works with even like sugar, food. You know what I mean? Like I remember I had abstained. I was fasting all the time. I was abstaining from all kinds of different things. But one of the things is that I was doing no sugar. I think I might have even been zero carb for a while at a time. Like nothing. And I was at my sister's house, and she bought this like big box of like random beers. It was like just like, I don't know, the grocery store was selling like all the beers that were like incomplete, like that maybe one bottle of the 6-pack broke or whatever. Anyways, there's this huge box of like random glass bottle beers that she got, all different kinds, for like a sale price, right? Well, I wasn't drinking, but there was like a couple of these like fancy vanilla cream sodas in there, like non-alcoholic ones, and I hadn't had soda or anything like that in so long. I was like, you know what? I'll have a cream soda with you guys while you drink a beer. I fucking drank this cream soda. It was so fucking good. Like I cannot remember the last time ever tasting something that was so good. Like it was literally a spiritual experience. Like I was so up on that. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, but it was like must have translated through to my stream, because one of my most popular streams where I looked terrible, by the way, so it wasn't looking at me, you know, was like that day. You know, and I just like, it just fucking charged me up just drinking a soda. You know, it really just depends. Everything is like how you do it. You know what I mean? Like I believe that the pleasures of earth and everything are meant to be enjoyed, like absolutely. But you know, addiction is like a lust, and you know, it's incredibly powerful to break those and to overpower those. But you're not unaddicted just because you didn't do something for a long time. You're unaddicted only if something holds no power over you. So for me personally, like, I mean, I have some minor addictions, you know, weed and caffeine and sex and things like that. People are aware of this about me. But I refrain from them. But I don't abstain completely and totally. Sometimes I enjoy them. I enjoy them when, you know, when the time is right. And that's because I'm about completely and totally overcoming my addiction. I'm not about just isolating myself from it. You know what I mean? Like, if I have to never ever touch weed again, then I'm a slave to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I can't smoke it and not smoke again the next day, it owns me. You know what I'm saying? I have to be able to do it, enjoy it, love it, and then not do it again. And that's just my personal take on it. Obviously, when it comes to things like that are highly controversial and specific to each different person, you have to make your own judgment. And I'm not in any way suggesting anyone else do as I do. I'm just explaining what I do, and also keep in mind, like, you know, that system that I just mentioned would not probably be a good one or a safe one if your particular substance of choice that you had a problem with was something that was more likely to cause an overdose or something like that. Like, I don't have any of those type of addictions. You know what I'm saying? Nothing that I'm addicted to can kill me, except for maybe women. Let's see. Freaking says, so you think there are prophets on this earth right now? Yes, absolutely, 100%. There's prophets on this earth right now. Anyone that is enlightened is essentially a prophet of some sort. You know, like, you know, there's going to be definitely different degrees of that. But, like, you know, in some way, it's like, I mean, I tried to shut down AVN Awards and CES and everything. I'm not saying that whatever, but I'm going to toot my horn for a second. Like, some people are in tune with this kind of stuff. Like, I predicted the entire pandemic. I tried to tell everybody I was wearing a gas mask, like, when everyone else didn't even know what was going on. Like, you know, I shorted all the airlines. I bought Moderna's calls at $23. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that was even before all this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're telling me that, like, someone like Sadhguru or something can't be considered a prophet? I think he can. You know what I'm saying? I think that it's ridiculous to refer to people that have, or should I say even defer to people who have already passed, and to texts that are outdated, even if they're accurate, when we literally have living people right now, and I don't just mean a few, I mean lots of them, who are totally connected to the same source as where those prophets got their information. Species Trader says, without belief, all we have is gut instinct, which is more reliable and justifiable. Yeah, I think belief, the word of belief to me is a dirty word. Like, I think that belief is what is there when you don't have knowing. You know, or it's belief is a substitution for knowing. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't know, then you have to believe in something, right? So what's really fucking just disgusting to me is when people have beliefs that they push on to other people. They try to include other people in their beliefs, but it's a belief. They don't fucking know. They just believe it, and they're trying to get other people to believe it. Even if it's right, I think it's wrong is the nicest way of putting it, to push a belief that's not attached to knowing, that's not a knowing. Like, if you know something, teach somebody. If you believe something, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion. Not saying that to anyone specifically here. I'm just, that's how I see it. If somebody believes something, shut the fuck up. If they know something, please tell me, share your knowledge. But miss me with the beliefs. Human nature or imagination? I don't understand the question. Please rephrase. Ever played a game, broken telephone, Chinese servers? Yes, exactly. That's what it is. It's a fucking broken telephone. It's when you... Well, actually, I don't know if it's just a telephone or a broken telephone is the same, but, you know, I'm talking about like the campfire story where you say something, the next person says something, so-and-so says something, it gets all the way around, and whoever gets it last says whatever that they heard. And that is literally like what religion is based on. When ultimately, like, you know, and the other thing, my other issue is, like, you know, a lot of religions are about praying. And I think there's a place for praying. I think praying is cool. I you know, but the meditation is more important, because to me, like, it's like, okay, if you're trying to pray to a higher power, that's kind of almost like you thinking that you know better than the higher power, right? That's not really trusting, you know? And if those who can't trust can't be trusted, right? What's better is meditation. That's listening. You know what I'm saying? Like, shh, just listen. You know what I'm saying? If there's a higher power, it's more important to listen to it than it is to talk to it. It already knows everything going through your head because it's literally you. You are it. It's just that you are it figuring out, it's learning what would happen in your specific scenario if you didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? And so for that reason, if you believe in a higher power, it's more important for you to listen. Because all day, every day, everything that you say, it hears. Everything you think, it hears. It knows. There's nothing that gets by it. You can't lie to it. You know what I'm saying? You can't pick and choose what it hears or what you say to it. But you can be quiet and listen to it. Listen for it. To, if it chooses to talk to you, to be listening and to be open to listen. Raheem Khan says, welcome back, dear Bruce. Thank you, Raheem Khan. This trader says, it's when people whisper a few sentences into the ear, one by one, the message is passed down. Oh, this is about broken telephone. Generally, the sentence at the end varies greatly from the... Yeah, that's the... We call it telephone, but broken telephone is the same. But this is exactly what the point that I was kind of trying to make. This is... I'm glad that you brought that up. It was not Shakespeare that said the world is a stage and we are all on it, or something like that. Somebody said it, and they were right. Susan says, I'm more of a listener, so I am not active. It's fine, Susan. You are more than welcome to be a listener as well. But do not worry. Your presence is not only welcome, but desired here. I'm happy to have you. CC's Trader says, we need more people that actually listen is needed in the world. Exactly. You know, the thing about listening and speaking, and this is just good advice in general, is, you know, you never have to agree with something you hear, and you can always choose to say something that you didn't say. But you can't unsay something which you've already said. And so, for that reason, and I know some people are like, duh, but like some people, like, this doesn't occur to them either. So that's what I'm saying. Is for this reason, it is not just a little bit, but dramatically more logical and more sound of reasoning to prioritize listening above talking in almost every scenario. In fact, in every scenario other than if you are asked for your opinion or for that information. If you've not been asked, I'll let you fill in the blank there. I enjoy talking to AI. That is weird. It's stimulating as a mug. I haven't tried it much, but I think it's interesting also. It's you know, I kind of wonder, like, when I fantasize about how the whole world and the simulation and everything came to be, and like I said, one of my biggest questions is, does it physically exist somewhere? Like, are we simulating something that is real, or is this just a dream, a thought experiment of some sort? You know, or like, you know, there's a lot of questions there, but I don't remember where I was going with that, but it's a fucking good question. So, right, that need people like in the world. Proax says, let's become red pills. That's my goal. Yes, exactly. Get out there and red pill some people, but let them ask you first. Let them ask for it. You know what I'm saying? Let them ask you for it. But I mean, honestly, I think that that's, you know, I think that it's like look what's happening here, you guys. Let's just think about this from like a logical perspective. Why would this happen to me? Why? It doesn't make any, you know, sense if we look at like whatever religion and other things say, except for maybe Buddhism, because I will say that my life has very much, is almost completely and totally reminiscent of the book Siddhartha, if anyone's ever read that. But, you know, as far as the major other religion, which actually is actually interesting too, if you really pay attention to the Bible and everything. Like I said, the teachings were originally about karma, is the way I see it. And, you know, the stories are basically like teaching you how to react to whatever given test that you receive. And it's like all these different tests or whatever, you know, it's like a, you know, it's a script. It's whatever. These are the things that you come to Earth to experience. These are the lessons. And that was them in like a historical time frame, but it's like the same kind of stories are still happening now. Like, you're still being put through all the same tests. Let's take both pills. That's fine. That'd be fun. Yeah, that's interesting. What happens when you take both pills? Yeah, it's interesting. What's the best type of detox? Fasting. Period. Either long and wet or hard and dry. Tea or coffee? There's a different there's a time and a place for everything, but I'm definitely a huge coffee fan. I always trying not to drink it, but I can't lie. With no tolerance, coffee is the best thing that they grow in Colombia. Just saying. I'm just saying. It's just that most people have too much of a tolerance to really truly appreciate it. And so that they, you know, they think other things are better. But if you can get your tolerance down, coffee is like the bee's knees of uppers, for sure. But it still has the hazmat suit. I don't know what you mean. I have like tons of hazmat suits. A whole box of them. I was prepping seriously before. Remember, I told you I predicted the whole pandemic, and I actually thought it was going to be super deadly because and all this stuff. So like I literally prepped, and I prepped for like, I don't know, months, and then I locked down in January 2020. 2 months before everybody else. I was already in lockdown. So somewhere in one of my storages I have tons of hazmat suits. What makes me stand out in a crowd? I don't go in crowds. Stand out in a crowd? Nothing. I'm not there. Win Warrior says, hi, I finally caught one of your random sessions. Well, welcome. I'm glad you did. Species Trader says, how can we know if everything fed to us is a construct, as I mentioned before? You don't need to know. That's the beauty of it. How can you know is just pay very, very close attention. Like, it's very, very obvious if you stop believing in coincidences, and if you start embracing like the idea of like natural law, and that we're like, you know, inherently like our animal self is still all inside of us, and like look how unnatural all the world is and everything around you. Look how much it don't make sense. You know, the true knowing, I think, comes from understanding spiritual concepts, but you know, it's hard for me to tell. It's not the only way. If you pay attention, it's obvious. Now, here's the thing is, the moment that you actually know, you'll start manifesting so much stronger the things around you that it will either literally be signs, which this is something I wonder about. I don't know if they're actually signs meant for me or if I'm just paying attention. But if you watch just pay really close attention to everything, and the moment that you truly know within yourself, you'll realize that the curtain comes down completely, and that your higher self like stops trying to hide you from yourself. Like, it starts just being like, it's like as soon as you know without any doubt that you're in the simulation stops trying to make you think that you're in a simulation. It doesn't continue keeping up the pretense. Like, once you know, not only will you know, but like it'll stop doing it to you. Is prayer just another form of meditation? Yes, I believe it is, but I just think that it's just, to me, it's a redundant form of meditation, because every single thing that you think is already recorded and known. Like, you do not remember everything in your life, but your higher self remembers every moment. Everything was recorded, everything you seen, everything you heard, everything you thought, everything you felt. Like, it's 100% recorded. And you don't have access to all that all the time, but your higher self does. And so to me, yes, prayer is a form of meditation, you know, but it's something that is just already happening anyways. If you have a, you know what I'm saying, it's not really necessary if you purify your mind to the sense that everything that you think is a prayer. You know what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't need to partition those things. You should strive towards, you know, unity with yourself so that it's not necessary. What's up, Astrid, Space Plays, Wind Warrior? Have you tried blue lotus flower tea? I see it in the apothecaries, and I thought, I'm curious but nervous about anything that might make me feel too much like a trip. I tried it, and it wasn't very strong. It's really, really light, and I made it pretty strong. I think I put like 3 flowers in at one point. It actually tastes pretty good, I guess, but it's very unique flavor. I did not trip out at all. I maybe did feel a little bit of like a calmness, like a sedative, but not sleepy. Did I get sick during that period of our shared history? Yeah, I got sick. I was, if you're talking about the vid, I always say that I am the Pokemaster of the vid. I caught them all. And I actually think that it was like one of the early parts of my like awakening, because like I actually got it the first time when I was in Mexico from the woman that first ever did some energy work on me. And it was during that fever dream is when I seen the moment. It literally told me, I heard something in my head go, this is either going to heal you or kill you. And I was just like, I accept. And it was like, all right, boom, fucking turned up my temperature, fucking maximum. I was just like in so much raging pain, the worst headache of my life. And it was like I was seeing through my mind's eye as well. Like I was like, my real eyes were literally like blinded by pain. And I could just see something and hear something that was black on black. You know, it was like you couldn't really see it, but it was, you knew it was there because it was just so much denser. It was like something was there in the middle of empty space. And, you know, it's like I could hear its thoughts as it was my own thoughts. And its first thought was, where am I? And then it came up with pi, and it tried to use pi to calculate its position in wherever it was. And because pi was fractionally, you know, it was not completely 100% accurate, even by that little tiny bit of a fraction, that disorder of pi not being accurate caused tremendous suffering. And that suffering, through that suffering was the motivation of the creation of the entire universe. And upon the completion of the universe and realizing that suffering still existed, continued to make more universes in the hopes that eventually a universe would exist without suffering. And so, yeah, that was like my whole fever hallucination that I had at that time. I don't know if that's valuable to anyone, but you know. Do I use a mantra when I meditate or pure silence? I do both, but the only mantra that I really use is I gotta sit up for this. Well, I threw it off a little bit at the end of the end there, but that's my only mantra. I do that in slightly different ways, and I notice different effects from that. But I also do complete silence a lot, and I've also sometimes I do walking meditation now. I found that it's actually super effective for me. Exactly. Pi does represent, that's what I see as, like, when I think of, not even that pi represents the universe, but that pi represents the absolute. Pi represents what created the universe. Pi represents the Tao. You know, the subtle essence that has no name. Oh, sorry, was my loud on the headphones? It vibrated your whole body? That's what it's supposed to do. That's what I'm telling you. It's the one you can, you know when it's getting good when your ears start popping and it starts like vibrating through like your ear canals. You know, shit's about to get real once you get it proper, you know. But you can hit it in the forehead, in the top of your head, in the back of your head, the brain stem. Like, you could do it all at once. Like, it really is like there's magic to this sound. You know, and it makes me interested in other mantra. Like, I'm really interested in Sanskrit and stuff. Like, I believe in these yogis because, like, through that sound that I just said was like, you know, that's what opened the door for me. And I just know that these guys have got to be experienced. Like, I can't imagine staying connected to any one of those bodies all the time. Any one of those sources of, I just can't. I can't imagine being able to operate in real life while constantly connected and just overflowing with love and, you know, endless divine knowledge and what. I just can't even imagine like being able to continue about my life if I was in that state all the time. But I would happily accept it. I don't think that, you know, I wouldn't want anything else that's beyond hopes and dreams almost. But you know, it makes me wonder about other mantras because I tend to, you know, it seems a little weird to me. It's kind of like almost like magic incantations and this and the other versus like the Om. Like, it to me has more of like a basic underlying essence essential thing to it because it's just a sound, and because I can feel the vibration so acutely everywhere from like my stomach to my chest to my throat to every part of my head. Like it's like I feel that it has like a mechanical effect as well as just a spiritual one, but I just don't understand personally how that works with like longer like actual like mantras and whatever ancient languages and stuff. But because I believe in the people who believe in them, I'm interested by it, and I really want to understand more and know more about that, and maybe experiment with it and see if there's any effects so that I can actually speak on it. But currently speaking, that's the only mantra I know. It's the only mantra I do. It's the only mantra I've needed, and it's something that's been extremely effective for me. I cannot read any Sanskrit except for, I know the symbol for enlightenment. Shrinkita says, been celibate for some time now, and that was the closest a male did something for me. So I'm happy to be that guy. I am that guy. I am that guy. I've probably been at least 100 women's very first non-self-induced O. At least 100. Such a common thing. Unless it's just common to lie about. But I cannot tell you how many women have hooked me using the line that a man has never made them do the O from the standard deed. And very, very few occasions did I not change that. And of the occasions which I did not, I suspect there was probably like some SSRIs or weird hardcore like psychological drugs involved. So that was me bragging. Whoops. Sorry guys. I try to stay humble, but in this one arena sometimes I'm bereft. Well, that could be part of like, Pike, a good or bad bro? How about Crawley? I don't know who those people are, or really what the Bruce should put in his disclaimer might cause serious goosebumps. You guys all felt it. So listen, I was thinking of doing, I did it on Instagram once when I did a whole 108 ohms. But the phone was kind of far away from me, and there was I was at a stream in Oregon, and so there was like a little bit more water sound, so you couldn't really hear it that good. But I was actually thinking, I've toyed with the idea of the ohm thing a lot, of doing that online as a meditation thing. And maybe, so the two places that I've thought about doing it is either on Twitter Spaces, just as an audio thing, since it's not really necessary to see me for it. And then the other idea that I was thinking of is, because it's a super personal thing and not something that it's if I was going to do it on here, for example, I'd probably just turn off the chat and let people join me for it. But I would probably actually do it. I've been trying to think of something, because I don't believe in monetizing spirituality, in the sense, not monetizing, but charging for it. I don't believe in I'm not trying to I'm not charging for some Reiki sessions. You know what I'm saying? It's just not, it's morally against my belief or whatever. like I have enough trouble even asking people to donate. I always just kind of cross my fingers and hope that people will eventually want to give back, which many have, by the way, and thank you to all the donors. But as far as the OM thing, I was thinking that it might be a possibility because I'm just got the monetization on YouTube and I would like to use whatever tools that they have. I'm not obviously going to charge a subscription or anything for our normal live sessions, but I was thinking that possibly of doing a subscription based thing for my actual meditations themselves. And not because I think it's something that I want to sell or anything, but because karmatically I feel excused if somebody is if it's an exchange, you know what I'm saying, because it's you did that to yourself, like you chose that at that point, you know what I mean. It's like the same reason kind of why like I try to do like everything question and answer based, because I'm not necessarily trying to like influence people. Like I want to share my knowledge if my knowledge is requested, you know what I'm saying. I don't want to like push the things that I think or whatever on other people. The same is, for example, the light that I seen by doing the Om is not something I think everybody could handle at this moment. You know what I mean? Like if you haven't healed, if you still have traumas or like, problems with your childhood, or maybe your body itself is not physically healthy, like things like that. I don't think that it's necessarily something that, like, people can transmit enlightenment. It's called Shaktipat, right? You can do it through touch, you can do it through mantra, there's different ways to do it, right? So why don't people just walk around fucking bloop, 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 fucking walk around in public just randomly enlightening people? Well, because it would be fucking a karmatic atrocity. Like it would be a fucking horrible thing for your own personal karma, because you would be responsible for whatever happened to all those people as a result of that enlightenment. And if they weren't ready to accept it mentally, or they weren't ready, their body wasn't ready to process that much physically, and you did that without them requesting it or their consent or anything like that, I think that there's like a karmatic, debt to be paid there. But if someone chooses to do it themselves, or they create like a contractual thing between you and someone else, even if it's a penny or whatever, then in my eyes, it's somewhat you're relieved from the karmatic consequences of it, because that was their action more than your action. But I'm actually very open to counter arguments and thoughts regarding everything that I just said in that spew. So if you guys want to give me some feedback on that, let me know. Patreon for meditations, that's not a bad idea. Okay, brag from time to time. Or even the idea of group meditation, as someone suggested last time. I met a woman who does remote sound healing with tuning forks, and so that idea of non-local quantum action is fascinating. That is super interesting, and I actually have thought a lot about that too, as regard as like, I've talked about in the past that I would like to do a lot more. Like I think of this, I would like this to become more of like, I'm not a teacher, you guys. I can't teach you anything. The only thing that I know is that I know nothing. That much I can teach you. I can teach you that everything is a lie. Or let me rephrase this. I can't teach you anything, but I can help you unlearn everything. That's the only thing I can really, really do for anyone. Aside from maybe like mantra and things like that. Like I know that there's some effect to my voice when I do this mantra. But and then the other thing too is just about fucking like, you know, like the Tao says it very well. Like the or not the or actually I think it was not the Tao, the Tao, not Tao Te Ching, but it was Cheng Li said, or it could be mixed. I don't know. I'm mixing up my philosophers, but you know, it's like I said that like, you know, the highest thinker hears the the Tao and practices it every day. The one in the middle ground hears the Tao and thinks about it occasionally. Um, but the lowest form of person hears the Tao, the wisdom of the Tao, and laughs. You know what I'm saying? That's the lowest form of person. But that lowest form of person that laughs at the Tao is more free than the people that are standing in the middle. They are actually closer to liberation than those who hear it and think about it occasionally. You know, so for that, also that reason is that as a filter, I feel like to do something that personal and that, you know, powerful, that there should be a filter of some sort, even if it's fucking the lowest possible, just 99 cents, whatever. But that's not something that the lowest of the low need to have access to, or and if they're going to gain it, they need to pay something, and everyone else will happily. It's a bargain. You know what I'm saying? But because they know what's up. Let's see. One warrior says, or even idea of group meditation. Oh wait, I suggested last time a woman. Yeah, that's what I just read. Cancy says, what does your mind voice sound like? Do you think your mind voice is inherent to your mind, or you think that it's developed like your mind based on hearing or speaking voice? This is a great fucking question, Cancy. This is probably the best question you've ever asked. My mind voice has changed. Not only that, but ever since my first enlightenment, I realized that my mind voice was not me at all. And upon realizing that, I was actually able to ask it its name, and it told me its name. So it's really interesting in that regard. Now, my mind voice before I was conscious of it sounded like Jordan Peterson. So, old Jordan Peterson, before he went fucking down the downward spiral of whatever he's on now. But so it was always interesting. I used to like Jordan Peterson because I'm like, yeah, this guy just sounds just like my inner monologue that berates me all the time. Right? And you know, but since that happened, that specific voice got much quieter, more weaker, and is in no way associated with myself anymore. And only when I'm on my like weakest moments does it ever really manage to reassert itself and speak in my mind anymore. You know, and more since then has my voice, my actual voice, my own inner self, and the person that talks been synced up with my mind to where it's just me, you know. But you know, through spiritual progress and whatnot, I've connected with other entities and things. Kind of weird to talk about, but you know, it's more or less I don't want to say been replaced because it's still there. I could probably call it if I wanted it. Um, but it's the less active part of whatever's going on in my head. Like um, I have connected with more benevolent beings, and instead of talking to the low vibrational ones, I choose to communicate more with um, the ones that can actually teach me something. You know what I mean? Turn the bass all the way up. Is that a Howard Stern quote? Warrior. Proax says, haha, I felt on it, but I wasn't virgin in that regard. 2 days ago, I tried it at home alone. Vibration through my whole body. Makes magics happen. That's so good, Maya. I'm glad to hear that. It is magic. Get it. I'm sure it's probably a little bit more of a, it's a learning curve to get it right. But get that fucking bass going. Try to make the space inside your mouth as big as possible. Experiment with your tongue. Experiment like doing it from the chest or from the stomach. Break it down into the ah, the ooh, the practice them separately, recombined it, um, you know, and then do it after experimenting with it as well in different ways, and then come back and do it the original way, and you'll find that you have like a more refined knowledge of it. And then practice also too, just working that flap, so you can just real seamlessly go from the ooh to the without having like a weird like loss of harmony when you close that flap in your nose. Sorry, that wasn't asked for, but that was just my 2 cents to expand upon that. Because I know that maybe with a female voice, it's a little with less bass. You probably have to like maybe work it a little bit different to get the same. Because I find the lower the tone, the more effective that it is. You want to get really bassy. Frankita says, I have serious problems with hearing my own voice. I don't want to hear it. It's kind of weird to me, but I feel like the vibration in the body is a crucial part of it. I keep practicing. Yeah, it's not even really your voice if you think about it. It's I'm going to quote Sadhguru here, but these are the only sounds that you could make with no tongue. If someone cuts your tongue out right now, or whatever, you weren't born with a tongue or whatever, you could still do the These are the only three sounds the human's body, these are the only sounds the human body can make without the tongue. And interestingly enough, it's also the base of like all the prayers, like Amen, Amen. There's other ones, like whatever these things that they say after a prayer, those are all rooted in you know what I mean? Ricky says, what is your recommendation to unlearn things? Like all that BS we're taught regarding ourselves from our parents, teachers, etc. Social media detox, internet detox, television detox, sadhana, like silence, retreat, go some time without talking. If you got a dog, hang out with your dog. Don't give it commands. Do hand signals or whatever. Rewild yourself. Pay close attention. Stop believing in coincidences. Just realize that even if the earth is round, you are ahead of the game if you consider the fact that it could be flat. It's definitely not. But realizing that they do have the capability of faking every image of the earth you've ever seen will go a long way in this regard. Like, realize, like, go watch some fucking deepfake videos. Do that. That'll help. Before you do your detox, your everything, let go of it all, forget how to talk, forget the names of things, like, forget all. Before you rewild yourself, go watch some deepfakes. Some good ones. Go see what they can do. Go see what's possible with the deepfake technology. Then realize that it's always been possible, and it's only that real images of horrible things that have been done by very powerful people are surfacing and are available out there, and that the only reason why they gave us the deepfake technology and showed us that it really exists, and the only reason why they gave up this super, super powerful weapon that they have in that is to create plausible deniability for things that are real, and that that's always been possible to fake everything, and that the only reason why we know that now is because of the real things that are out there that they want to create plausible deniability against. They want to be able to say something that is real as a deep fake. Otherwise, we would not know about this technology. They would not have given it up to us. Ignorance really is bliss. Laughter is the best medicine after all. That's true. Ignorance is bliss. You need ignorance or enlightenment. Everything in the middle ground is hell. It's literal hell. Wind Warrior. Man, that programming is really difficult to take apart. One time I read somewhere that there is nothing inherently fixed about us, which was both terrifying and liberating to consider. Yeah, you're literally, like, I have literally conjured physical things. Like, okay, look, let's be real. Let's keep it real for a second, okay? I wished for a blunt, and a blunt literally fell in front of me on the ground one time. This is the craziest thing that's ever happened. I think that exceeds turning water into wine. I don't know that it's probably not quite. I don't know if it's better. I mean, I'm open to opinion of whether or not that's greater than walking on water. It's not as great as parting the Red Sea for sure. But to create a blunt, a backwood blunt, fresh as fuck, in the middle of the desert in Vegas where weed only stays fresh for 10 minutes, and have it appear in front of me and fall on the ground like a spawn from a video game in front of me and two other people because I wished for it. You know what I mean? Once you realize that actually happened, and I don't expect you to believe me or whatever, but it is true, then things start making more sense. That was the first thing that ever happened to me that made me realize that the world is a complete and total lie. That's what made me realize that it actually was a simulation. It's just that I didn't have the other realizations to know how big of a deal it was. Like, I literally thought it was like The Sims, and that, like, I am playing myself, because I figured nobody would have the humor to fuck with me that much that they would roll a blunt in my style and drop it there in front of me after I wished for it, just to fucking make me fucking go. You know what I'm saying? But that happened. You know what I mean? That's the ridiculous world that we live in. You know, and people are out there trying to say, oh, sin's this, sin's that, whatever. But God gave me a blunt when I wished for it. Because it was me. You know what I mean? C-Trader says, Jordan does wear snazzy suits, to be fair. Frankie says, he seems so happy today. Well, you know what? It's been, let's see, that was in 2005. What is this? 2024. It's been 19 years since this day back in 2005. And look what's going on. I'm monetized today. I'm kicking it in a fucking nice neighborhood. You know, I'm drinking. I got to drink a coffee. That puts me in a really good mood. I usually do that when I stream, honestly. It's a beautiful day. The weather's nice. Sky is blue. I'm healthy. Fuck, I got so many things to be thankful and happy about. I got my little bud right here. What's up, Pop? What's up, dude? What's up, my dude? Come here, give me some loves. Give me loves. Oh, look at this. What's this not be happy for? Look at how fucking happy. Yeah, what's up, bud? So, yeah, it's a good day. It's a good day. It doesn't get much better, too, than, like, the trifecta. You know, like I literally said, like, ugh. Okay, that was gross. God, fucking mouth. It's like you want to believe you can spit it out, but it's already in. Yeah, like how does that even happen too? The same day, again, monetization, arrested for 4 years, and I signed my first modeling contract, all on this date. Like, we're going in circles, you guys. It's all a big illusion. Do I struggle settling down your mind before I go to sleep? Oh, this is such a great... Yo, you just fucking totally reminded me of some awesome new things I wanted to mention, too. And what's the longest you stayed awake for? Just curious. Longest I've stayed awake for? Probably like 4 days. But no, I sleep so good now. As soon as the sun goes down, I'm tired. I go to bed. And lately, so I was going through a thing a couple weeks ago where I was like, for some reason, I couldn't get comfortable. My sacrum was starting to hurt. My lower spine was like hurting no matter how I laid. And so I decided that since I'm uncomfortable no matter what, that I'm going to start making a practice of sleeping on my back, because there's a bunch of different reasons why that's ideal. So I've been sleeping on my back, and I'll tell you what, for the last week, I don't know what it is, but not only have I been sleeping so good, but every fucking day for the last week, I wake up and I have this warm, fuzzy feeling. I don't know how to explain it. You know when you're like sleeping really, really good and you like don't want to get out of bed because you're just kind of like lethargic and you're like, oh, I should just sleep longer. It's not like that at all. But it's like the part where you're like sleeping really, really, really good, but you wake up and it's like you wake up high. You're like, I feel so good. Like almost like I'm like, yeah, like high or drunk or something, but like just waking up, like I just feel so good. Every fucking day for the last week. I don't know why. But the more weird thing is, and I don't know if it's just from the whole retention thing, but sadly, I have broken my retention, but the cool thing about breaking the retention is how I did it. So I was meditating, and I was kind of practicing like a little tantra, like visualization technique, and it was working really well. I was, having my whole relation with this being in my head, right? Anyways, I was able to literally meditate myself all the way to climax. And pretty rapidly and without any struggle at all. Like, it was extremely easy. And I was like thinking about it afterwards, and I was like, I wonder if that was just a fluke, because, you know, I was thinking like it's been so long since I've had sex or anything. So I tried to do it again. I meditated again, and I was able to do it again in like less than 5 minutes afterwards, or, you know, more of a 5-10 minute space in between. But I'm saying, like, from a complete reset, it took another like less than 10 minutes, and I was able to achieve the same thing again, like back to back, just through meditation, zero contact, no touching, nothing, like mind only. And I thought that was kind of like an ultimate game changer in a way. I don't think it was like a good, you know, I think it was interesting. It's not something I'm going to do again anytime soon, because I think it's more important to like retain that essence and stuff. But at the time, I thought it was interesting to see if it could be done and then could be recreated. And indeed it can. Not only that, but I will say it was extremely easy. Like, I remember having to basically do that one time a long time ago for like a scene where they were like using this like rubber hand thing, and I was just like, it was so bad that it was literally 100% mental. I had to do it. But this was like 1,000 times easier than that, and with zero contact of any sort. And that was, you know, initially I was trying to, you know, raise the energy up. I didn't initially, you know, plan to like go that route. And while I didn't actually succeed in like Kundalini awakening that time, as what I was trying to do, or not Kundalini awakening, but activation is what I was trying to do. I feel that it was an indication that my abilities of meditation and my bodily control is actually advancing, even if it's still not acute enough to, you know, be as specific always as I want to. But for only having done it twice, I felt like I was so much better at it the second time as well, that I feel like that it's a positive thing that it happened. And a side note, you know, I don't think that I would ever like ask people for money with a sign or anything, but there's this chick out here, and she's got her dog. She's holding a sign, and I have just never seen anyone come up so fucking hard over and over again. Like people have brought in her like 5 bags of groceries and like dog food and stuff. I'm like, dude, like, if you're like a hot blonde chick with a dog, like, you can literally just hold up a sign and people will fucking go grocery shopping for you. it's awesome. Anyways, sorry, it was just a notification. And the funny thing is that I've seen this chick before, and I tried to give her, well, actually it's not the same chick, it's the same dog, which is interesting. So it must be like a team, because there was like another chick, and for a second I thought it was the same chick, but there's another chick that had the same dog with her, and I tried to give her dog food in the past, but she was like, oh, I got plenty of dog food, don't worry about it. But now the same dog is here with a different chick, and then this chick is just out here like killing it. I can't believe how many bags of groceries like people have bought her. It's amazing. So I don't know. It must be like there must be a team, but the dog is like lucky or something. I don't know. It's like one of those like Irish wolfhounds. I don't know, but it doesn't like Sam, so I haven't talk to them very much. Let's see. Do I struggle settling down? Oh, yeah, I read that one. What's long as I did that one? And here he is, Bruce V. Doing it again. Bring it. I like the term rewild. Yes. What is the main purpose when traveling to foreign lands? Okay, so this is going to sound really privileged, but you will always get the honesty from me. This is one thing that I can give you, okay? I'm not experienced enough to be your guru or anything like that, but I can definitely give you the truth. All right, and that is you can get from me. And even if it sounds privileged, but my main purpose when traveling to foreign lands, historically, not saying futuristically, though it definitely in this regard would not would not hurt my current situation. But historically, it's always been with the intent of uh, getting a favorable exchange rate on local currency. So this is why I don't really go places that have strong currency. Like I've been through Western Europe, but uh, minimal because of that. Things like that. But like when I go to Europe, I try to stick to like Hungary and Romania and places that have their own currency, not that aren't on the euro. And then same with South America. Most places you're getting a really good exchange rate. The peso actually. You know what the crazy thing is? Like I got a bunch of I still have them. I bought a bunch of pesos to go to Mexico a while ago, and I paid like I got like 17 or I got like I'm sorry I got like 24 pesos or something to the dollar at the time when I bought the pesos. I never made it to Mexico, but like now I'm getting a dollar for 17. Fucking Mexico's killing it, like fucking big come up on the pesos. Should have had some futures working, you know what I'm saying? If I would have known, I would have fucking known. But let's see. But yeah, the truth of the matter is that when traveling to foreign lands, I never really had any purpose other than to decrease my cost of living. I like to be able to go places, and I've always been about doing less and getting more. You know what I'm saying? Like if I can, you know, go, do whatever I did for all those years in LA with all those women, and get paid, and then take that money to somewhere else and have it be worth 30% more, or have my buying power increase by 30%, like that's a no-brainer for me. Um, you know. I also, I like I like the different flavors. What can I say? You know what I mean? Like, you gotta. The world. There's only one world. You know what I mean? You gotta sample a bit. And the dog poop materializing. That's true too. I was more. I told that story more because it was a more. It was a more. It that story though was also true. It's like a fucking. It's like something that you would read. It reminds me of like a religious story. You know what I'm saying? It's like the point. There's a deeper meaning with the dog shit one. But I always mention. I usually avoid mentioning the Blunt story because even though the dog shit story had no witnesses and the Blunt story had myself and two other witnesses, because it's just so much more it's just so unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Rewild your nature, Anna. I'll join you in Rewild, we need full moon, get naked, fire forest. That sounds kind of fun. CM's head is huge. Yeah, he's a big head. Let's see, don't call me selfish or lazy, but there is a park next to my home. I'll be on a plane in 3 hours. Okay, sorry guys, I'm just catching up on the chat. It looks like mostly people are talking amongst themselves. You walk up to the counter, buy a ticket an hour before in the 60s. You can still do that, Wind Warrior. As a matter of fact, I don't know where you're at, but if you're in the States and you're flying Allegiant, you should always do it like that. And you'll get a huge discount. But actually, a lot of places, you can literally walk to the counter and buy a ticket. Brenda says she smokes and drinks. What do you like? Maya says, Anna, go get the way. We need Vine. And Brenda, what do you like? She said, I smoke and drink. I love you. It's so funny. Who bails us out of prison? Me. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, I have no money. I would, though. Frankita says, just drink water on my own natural high. Fungus is natural. Boy says, I'm going to bed now. It's been a pleasure having you here. Thank you, Bruce. Wish you all a wonderful day. See you soon, inshallah. Inshallah, Noi. Have a great night. Let's see. Alright, everyone good night. Susan's got to go now too. Brenda says there's an honest. Okay, cool. I made it to the bottom of the chat. You guys, listen. How was that stream? To whoever's left. We got 14 people still here. I'm going to go ahead and sign off here, but I hope that was alright. I hope that I wasn't overly sensational. I feel like maybe I went a little bit too hard for a guy that's processing his monetization application, but I hope it'll work out. Nice chatting with everybody. Noi, Maya, Talo, Susan, Brenda, Frankita, Maya, Kansi, Brenda. Much love, everybody. Thank you for joining my stream. If anybody is not in the Telegram group, I would love to have you there. We had another new chatter today that was super active and good. It was Species Traders. Thank you for coming. Spokojna Noc. Talo. Buenas noches. Buenas tardes. Bom dia. Everybody, everywhere. I'm out.